Hello and welcome to another Banggood kit. What else? It's what I do. This is another radio, FM radio, about 87 to 108 megahertz. So certainly fine everywhere around the world, I would have thought, for FM. It comes with a case, usual format, clear acrylic case. It has a digital display for the frequency, which is the typical type of display that you get from Banggood, which is fine. We've got some electrolytic caps. We have an on-off power button, I think. You can see the type of jack that it uses. They haven't supplied a power cable for it. Which is fine because I do have them, but if you don't, then it's yeah, that's going to be a pain. Big chip with a socket. The other chips are all through hole. We have this little guy, which is, I don't know what that's for. Let me just get it to focus in there. But you can see it's surface mount, so you know, that's going to be interesting, but I don't know what that is. Could look it up, I guess. Audio, I don't know, it's got a little crystal on it. But that will be a surface mount. I would imagine that's audio. Speaker, well, not great quality. I can't imagine this is going to sound great. Just a pretty standard fare, I think. Just trying to see what are these. Is that manufactured in 2008? Some old stocks from somewhere. Yeah, the usual bits and pieces. We've got another crystal there. LED indicator of some sort. Perhaps that's just a power indicator, I don't know. Square in shape, fairly straightforward. That's a cap for the power button. We've got a couple of other push switches there. Fairly straightforward. We've got some sockets for the actually we've only got the one socket, but we have two chips of the same size, so I don't know about that. The one problem I have got is there's no instructions, so hopefully it won't be too difficult to work out. The resistors I can measure, and I think pretty much everything is marked on the board. Let's try and focus that in for you. So there's the board. So what I'm going to do is I am just simply going to populate this, and when it comes to anything interesting, perhaps the yeah, that's where that little chip goes, audio chip, I guess. And I think that there, looking at it, we put that on there, yeah. You can see that oblong shape there. That's probably to represent the crystal. So that will go on there like that. So when it comes to soldering that, we'll have a look at it. But the rest of it's all through-hole components, all fairly straightforward. In fact, I think probably, apart from that surface mount, I think the most complicated thing is to work out how to build the case without any instructions. There's a whole bag of hardware that it comes with, anyway, we'll work that out as we go along. So the first thing to do is to populate the board and probably power it up as well. We've got a telescopic antenna for the FM, all fairly standard stuff. Fortunately, FM radio is still alive and well here in the UK, so yeah, it's a worthwhile kit. Got a bunch of transistors there. Don't know if they're all the same value or not. Let's have a look. And that one is a S9012, is that? S9012. Yeah, I think they're all the same. Yeah. Yep, so all the transistors are the same value or type, so they're going to be easy enough to install. So yeah, it's all going to be fairly straightforward in terms of populating the main board. So once I've done that, I'll get back to you. But like I say, I think building this case is going to be interesting. Right, well, let's try and get that little surface mount chip in. That's the one that lives there. And you can see what I've done already. Resistors, capacitors. Let's just show you the board in this current state so you can compare it if you need to. Most of them are 10Ks. That's a 220K, and that is a 4.7K. Although my multimeter reads at about 5.6K, so I don't know. I can't find any other resistors there. There we go. The other interesting one is going to be the I don't know if it's volume or I would imagine it's a volume potentiometer. If I can find it. Where is it? Where have you gone? Have I lost you already? I have. Oh crap, there it is. So yeah, that one there, and that one just again through hole will go in there like that. There we go, and then just solder it down. I'll do that later. But let's have a crack at this this little chip. And sorry, knocked you about there. Right, so what I'm going to do with this is get a bit of sealed air, and I think I probably should have these two caps here are probably a good idea not to put the chip in first, because I've not left myself much space to work now. So that was a bit stupid. Right, do I want to bring the magnifier in? Probably is the answer. Okay, so let's put a blob of solder on that pad there, and then probably should have done on the other pad. Never mind. Let's do it this way around. I think that's going to be a bit easier for me. That's the orientation of the chip, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just melt that down there, offer it up, try and line it up. How's that? Probably gone a little bit too far over to the left there, so let's just bring it, oops. How's that looking? Almost, let's just bring that down a touch to... Yeah, I think that will do it. Possibly bring it down a touch more. Oh, crap. I hope I don't fry this bloody chip by heating it up so much. No, that's gone all skew off again. Oh, for God's sake. Is that going to do it? Let's have a look. I think the answer to that is it's lined up well enough. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. And what is it? It's a TEA5767. And yeah, perhaps I'll look it up, see what it is. Anyway, so focus, IOL. So let's solder the rest up. So we've soldered one pin. It's not really a pin, it's like a semicircle. But we've soldered one in place. So the trick is to do likewise with the rest. And the thing to do is I just put a load of solder on the pad and let it flow into the component like that. Just yeah, you'll see it flow in as long as you've got a decent amount of heat on your iron, and like that. that in focus? So let's turn it around and do the same again. Shut the focus. Let's bring it down a bit. Is that in focus? I think it's as good as I'm going to get. Right, and again, fair bit of solder. Flood the pad and let it flow in. Just give it a bit of a flick towards the component as you do it, and it will seat itself neatly into the semicircle connector there. And that one I've already done, but do it again. And I think, let's get that out of the way. I think that's okay. Yeah. So that's all we need to do to install that one. It really isn't that difficult. Just a little bit of patience, go slowly, and it comes in. Look at the size of those caps. They are dinky. I mean, that's my thumb there. Very tiny. Now I bent that one out of the way so I could solder it in, so let's bring that back again. The other thing to bear in mind is that you see these three components, they're sat where the main chip goes, and that's why it's socketed. So you put the socket on, it raises it off the board enough to clear the components. So that cap there you need to bend down. 10 microfarad cap. Got that right way round. Yeah, that's right. I'll just bend these little caps out of the way. They'll be fine actually, don't need to bend those. And then the chip can sit neatly on top of it, complete with a piece of solder I picked up. You get the idea. And as usual, make sure you've got the semicircle notch, as you can see on the circuit board there, matches up with the notch on the socket, and that means the chip will fall out of my hand and go all over the bloody place. Right, there we go, and that matches up with the semicircle or notch, whatever you want to call it, so it will sit on there like that. Once I've bent the pins in a little bit, so it will sit a little bit more cleverly. Now the thing is, I have got another socket here for an 8-pin chip, which is either this LM386, is it? Oh good God, so focus you Swain. Yeah, LM386, and I've got another one here, LM386, and I think the reason I got confused is that they've given me an extra chip that I don't need. There's only one LM386 on this board, so I so far have an extra LM386 chip, an extra transistor, and a couple of extra caps. I had exactly the right number of resistors, and there you go. I think what I'll do next is solder in this socket, and again, as always, what I do with this is I just solder very briefly one pin, lift it up, and then press it down on it firmly, reheat it so it sits nice and flat on the board, which is exactly what it's doing. Well, it is that side at any rate, and that should be okay. Let's oops, let's solder the opposite end on the other side, because it's quite a large socket. And again, press down on the socket, reheat the pin, and yeah, that should be nice and flat now. There we go. And the notches line up. So we've got some, I'll put the chip in last. I think that's going to be one of the final jobs. What else have we got here? Should we do that? Let's do the other socket. So again, same principle. Make sure you've got the notch in the right orientation. Go in, you see, oh, the pin's bent. Of course they are. Pins are always bent when they come from Banggood because they get beaten up in transit. There we go. Alright, so let's just pop that down. Let's double check the focus. It's sliding about on me. There we go. Oops, that'll do. And yeah, you can see it's raised up there a bit. But now I'm just going to press down on the socket, reheat that pin, and it sits itself neatly, nice and flat against the board. And all we'll do now is solder the rest of those pins, which I shall do in a moment. That's the two chips. We've got a switch, that switch. We've got some more capacitors. We've got the power. All this through hole stuff. So I'm going to do that, and when I've got all these straightforward components in, I will get back to you. There are times when one has to ask oneself, why? Let me explain. Here's the kit, and as you can see, it's completed. Apart from the case. We'll get onto the case later, but to be quite honest, the case is kind of irrelevant at the moment. So it's fully completed, it's all checked, and everything is where it should be. Interestingly enough, the speaker came with a proper plug on it, but there is no plug for it to plug into, so I've had to cut it off, and as you can see, I've soldered it directly to the board, so that's fine. And I've also found a plug, a power lead, which is great, and it powers up, and it's fine. But listen, as I switch it on, horrible noise, which eventually disappears. Why does that noise occur? Let me just bring the lights down a little bit so you can see the display a bit better. Let's switch it on again. Display comes on, off, and the sound disappears. So basically, when the display is on, it makes a horrific sound. Let me just use my screwdriver as an antenna. I did actually get it tuned into a station, but receiving stations is academic. You got that horrific noise, and that doesn't make sense. Why does it do that? There must be a problem with the kit. Well, no, there isn't. Let me explain. Let's get that out of the way, and let's have a look at the website and the description on the website. I'll zoom in a bit for you. Right, let's make sure this is focused. Okay, as we can see, introduce the power saving function. After each power on or press the FM key, the digital tube, in other words the display, displays the frequency for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, the digital tube display will be automatically turned off. Well, you saw that. There are 2 reasons for this design. One is power saving. Well, that's crap, isn't it? Because these LEDs, they use millivolts. It's just a tiny amount of power. So, yeah, it saves power, but not enough to make it worth worrying about. But this is the interesting bit. And 2 is the digital tube. Disturbing sound when displayed. Very true. Turning off the digital tube monitor, the sound is more beautiful. Yeah, okay, more beautiful. Let's just skip over that particular description. But what they're basically saying is that when the display is switched on, it sounds bloody awful. But when the display powers off after 5 seconds, it's fine. But what a bizarre design. So that means that every time that you want to listen to a station and you have to program it, off it goes, and away the sound goes. So there's obviously some filtering issue or whatever. I mean, I'm not an electronics expert, but quite clearly the design is shite, which is a real shame because I rather like this kit. But it's just bloody awful. So, hang on, I've got something pinging in the background. Let's just stop that. Yeah, so it's just a completely bizarre issue. Let's get the lights back on here. And I have absolutely no idea why they've designed that in the way they have done. I mean, surely there must have been a way to stop that interfering with the audio. I don't know, perhaps I'm living in cloud cuckoo land, but I haven't heard of anything quite so bizarre in all my life. The other problem I've got is that I haven't got, yeah, you can see it. Let's see if, this is the antenna. Let's see if we can get that radio station. Hang on a minute, let's see if I can tune it back into, I think there's something on 90.2 megahertz. Let's have a look. See if I can get anything. No, I thought I did earlier on, but I don't know, perhaps this thing's so unstable that even if you do find a station on what it thinks is the frequency, it probably isn't there anymore. But okay, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I haven't finished building the kit yet, and I haven't got the antenna attached properly, and I imagine there's some capacitance or something with me holding onto the antenna and touching it here. But unfortunately, one of the problems is I haven't got a screw the size of that hole there. They've not supplied one, which is, well, frankly, a bit of a... Oh, God, I've set the bloody thing off again. Right, boom. That's the easiest way to sort that out. But how bizarre. Very, very strange that they should design the kit in that fashion. They probably didn't design it specifically to do that. It's just the way it turned out, and they haven't bothered researching why and fix the problem before they sent the kit out. But I just find the whole thing very, very odd. Why would you, after going through all the effort of making this kit, let the finished product do something as stupid as that? What a shame. Anyway, I've got all of this hardware here, and I've got the case. The case is actually going to be fairly straightforward to put together, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and work out how to connect this onto there, bearing in mind that I haven't got a screw that will fit. Perhaps I can just force one in there or something. I'm not exactly going to be too fussy about it, because at the end of the day, it's not really playing very nicely, is it? But it's a shame. Anyway, I'm going to sort the case and everything out, see if I can get the antenna properly connected, and see if we can actually tune into a radio station that is in some way listenable but I'm not holding up my hopes, to be brutally honest. Right, well, the kit is complete, along with rather a loose antenna. That's more to do with the fact I've not tightened it up brilliantly, but yeah, it works. But there you go, there's the case. Lots and lots of screws and nuts and bolts and all the rest of it to keep it together. You can see that the speaker is held in the back case with just basically nuts and bolts grabbing the edge of the speaker. You can see that one just there, typical, but it works well actually. That speaker is in there nice and firm, so that's good. You can see here the risers, 4 risers for the main PCB, and they do need a spacer nut just to give it a little bit of height, otherwise it won't fit. For example, it would hit that capacitor if you didn't do that. And yeah, it's gone together quite nicely. It is a nice looking thing. I do like it. It's just this ruddy noise. So I've actually tuned it into a station. It's a national station, just to see, first of all, 2 things really. 1, will it receive a signal? 2, will it receive it on the right frequency displayed on here? And the answer is actually yes, it does. So let's bring the lights down a little bit so you can see the display, if nothing else. So ready for the lovely sound. So 92.4 goes off. Bring the volume up. Oh, nothing. Now that is interesting. Ugh. Let's bring the volume down. Let's bring it. Right.
So insurance or utility will have completely different business models and tailored options.
You can hear
for a smart home as opposed to a traditional home.
Right. So the sound is very crackly. It's quite distorted. There's a humming in the background. I know that is the right frequency for that station. But let's switch it off, and we'll switch it back on again and see if it can find that frequency again. Yes, it can. So that's good. Let's bring the. So it's a bit. Oh, I'll switch it off by mistake there. There we go. I'm sure you love that sound. Right. Ah, now that's interesting. You see, it's lost the frequency again. So you have to kind of retune it back in again. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So there we have it. It's got a very pretty blue power light. I'll give it that. Let's switch it off. But other than that, the audio is awful. The tuning ability with that screeching noise, because it can't operate properly with the frequency display on. That display should be on all the time. And obviously they designed it to power down after 5 seconds because of this problem with the audio. But don't you just sort out the problem with the audio? The fact that it's not working properly with that bank of LEDs. I don't know, but it's a shame, because it is a nice kit. There's no 2 ways about it. I quite enjoyed making this one, and it looks pretty neat as well. It's just a shame that, frankly, it doesn't work very well at all. And I'm pretty sure I've not done anything wrong. If you think I have, or if you think there is a way to fix that horrific noise when you're trying to tune it, then do let me know. Stick something in the comments. Be great if guys could subscribe as well for anybody watching. That would be brilliant. And press the little bell icon, and hopefully I'll have some more kits coming along soon. But for the moment, that's the little FM kit from Banggood, complete with more parts than you need. Hurrah! There you go. An extra transistor and a chip even. So there we have it. Quite enjoyed building that one. A little bit disappointing when it comes to execution, but there you go. For the price of these things, can you complain? Well, yeah, because you want them to work, don't you? Yeah, never mind. Anyway, until the next time, thanks for watching, and got another nice little kit which I'm quite looking forward to. We'll bring that on as soon as I possibly can. Easter weekend coming up, so quite busy doing this, that and the other, so it'll be a while before I get to the next kit, but in the meantime, all the best to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again further down the line. Cheers.